So you can either look at this two ways, the most impactful or the most important player on each team. I'm calling it the most impactful because this player is not necessarily the best player on the team at all, and I'm definitely not saying they're the best player, but they do really dictate the success of their team going into next year. Like, for example, I'll give the Cavs right away. I have Evan Mobley. Now, Donovan Mitchell is way better than Evan Mobley, and so you can argue Darius Garland is too. I think Darius Garland is as of right now. But Evan Mobley, if he is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate and is a reliable three option, the Cavs are going to be very, very good. So I say he's the most impactful player. So that's what the criteria is and how I'm looking at it. I mean, there's some teams I don't really care about. We're going to speed run them. But there's other teams I got deep explanations for. Now for the Magic, it's obviously Joe Ingles. Nah, I'm just playing. It's actually Franz Wagner because he's really their best guard and their best shooter, if you ask me. The most impactful player for the Nuggets is not Nikola Jokic, even though he is by far the best player. It's Jamal Murray. I mean, they didn't make it past the second round when Jamal Murray was hurt, and they just won the championship with him healthy. So I feel like he's the most impactful player for this Nuggets team. And if he has a healthy, good year, Nuggets are going to be very, very good again. So yeah, for the Warriors, I had a hard time choosing. But honestly, in my eyes, once I really thought about it, it's got to be Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins had the great postseason when they won the championship. Double-double machine in the finals, locking up Tatum, Brown. Like, he was doing everything, and he was the second best player on the Warriors to Steph Curry. And I think if he plays like he's the second best player on the Warriors again, like last year he was out because of those personal issues. But if he does what he did when they won the championship, and he does that this year, the Warriors are going to be very, very good again. So I say Andrew Wiggins is the most impactful player for the Warriors. I know it might be crazy to say, but I think the most impactful player for the Rockets is going to be Amen Thompson. Because, yes, they brought in a bunch of veterans, they got new coaches, but the one thing that they really lacked last year was having the playmaking point guard and the connector piece to everything. And I think Amen Thompson's going to come in and be the connector piece going forward. And I think he should start in the backcourt next to Jalen Green. If he does, I think he's going to help elevate the Rockets. And if he has a big rookie year, I think the Rockets will be very, very good next year compared to what they've been. Now, there definitely won't be contenders, but I think that goes without saying. We aren't talking about the Rockets. But I'm just saying, Amen Thompson has a great year. They're going to be way better than anybody expects. Now, I want to speed run these next teams because we already know the impactful player, or they don't really have a true impactful player that will change it. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about these teams. So let's speed run. Tyrese Halliburton for the Pacers, Cade Cunningham for the Pistons, Anthony Edwards for the Timberwolves. The Hornets don't even deserve to have anybody, but I'll just say Brandon Miller. And then the Suns, I don't really think have a player. It's just how well their roster meshes together this year. Then the Spurs, I don't really care, but I'll give them Devin Vassell. I actually don't care about the Wizards either, but Bilal Coulibaly, you used a top 10 pick on him. You better get him developed because that looked bad at the draft. You don't want that looking any worse. For Utah, I don't really care as long as Taylor Hendricks gets minutes because I think he's going to be good. And the Mavericks, it's whoever their starting center is. The Raptors, Scotty Barnes. I mean, yeah, you can talk about any other player on the Raptors, but the Raptors insist on keeping Siakam and Anunoby. They need Scotty Barnes to be an all-star. Timeout. This is the last team in the speed run. Let's all take a prayer for New Orleans, and we know it's Zion Williamson. Since they're the 1 seed when he plays, and they are not even a playoff team when he doesn't. So let's all take a 5-second prayer. The speed run is obviously over now. So let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. It's obviously Keegan Murray. If they want to stay atop of the West like they were last year, they need him to be the reliable 3-star and to start hitting that potential. So for the Thunder, I think it's Chet Holmgren because, let's be honest, they didn't add anything, and he's the only new player. coming on for the Thunder this year after last year. And last year's team did not make the playoffs. You can say what you want. They got young stars, but blah, 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 blah. They're a young team. It doesn't matter. Yes, they got more experience from last year, but they did not make the playoffs. Every team in the West is trying to compete, and every team in the West that isn't tanking has gotten better. And now the Thunder did not do anything, but they're adding Chet Holmgren. So if Chet Holmgren's exactly who the media thinks he's going to be next year, the Thunder can compete. But if he's not, the Thunder have no shot, in my opinion. But that's my opinion, and that's why Chet's the most impactful player. Knicks fans, I know you've been waiting to see what I'm going to say. I was leaning towards Jalen Brunson because I don't think this roster is very good outside of him. But RJ Barrett, y'all want to say that the Knicks are contenders, they're better than I'm leading on. If they're better than what I'm saying, then RJ Barrett has to be the third star. And honestly, I think he needs to be more productive than Julius Randle come playoff time, because Randle's not going to change anything in the playoffs next year. The most impactful player for Memphis is obviously Marcus Smart. This team needed a veteran presence, and they needed a actually quality defender that's not named Dylan Brooks, who, yeah, it's Dylan Brooks. Overrated defender, if you ask me. But they need the veteran voice. They needed a true lockdown defender on the perimeter. And they also need a guy that can run the show when Ja Morant's out for the next 25 games. So Marcus Smart's going to dictate if they can stay relevant in the West while Ja's out. So that's why Marcus Smart's the most impactful player going into next year. The Heat didn't really have a player. I don't know how I didn't put them in the speed run, but it's literally everyone outside of their big three. Whether it be Hero, Bam, and Butler, or any star Bam and Butler that they trade for, outside of those three players, it's the bench and role players. The 76ers' most impactful player is Tyrese Maxey. Because if Tyrese Maxey can be the two option that we all want him to be for the Sixers to Embiid, the Sixers will not miss a beat, and they can trade Harden for a lesser package. Like, this team's already got Hall of Fame school threat defenders, and PJ Tucker, Patrick Beverly, DeAnthony Melton. Like, this team's got enough lockdown defenders where if Tyrese Maxey can be the second scoring option, they can literally just do anything, and this team can be very good. But it's all dependent on how Tyrese Maxey is, because if Tyrese Maxey isn't a second option, they can't just trade Harden for nothing. The Boston Celtics' most impactful player is Robert Williams. Anytime he's healthy, they are top defense, and they're very, very hard to beat. Anytime he's not healthy, their defense is not as good. I mean, their defense is still very good, but there's a difference with Robert Williams on the court versus off the court. So I think he's their most impactful player. And if he stays healthy, the Celtics are going to be better than I think they are going to be. But if he stays healthy, they're going to be good. And if not, they're not going to be as good as everybody believes, in my personal opinion. The Nets' most impactful player is Ben Simmons. If they get all-star Ben Simmons, they're going to be better than anybody expected, especially with Mikal Bridges. That duo is going to be a lot better than anyone expects if Ben Simmons is all-star Ben Simmons. But if not, the Nets are just going to be mediocre. The Hawks and Bulls are kind of weird. The Bulls, it's their free agent signings, because they actually had quality free agent signings. Now, if they pan out, that's a different story. So I think Javon Carter, Torrey Craig, and re-signing Kobe White, who had a good play-in tournament, like, those three players are going to be very important and determine how good this team is. So I think those three players all playing up to the level that I think they can is the most impactful thing for this team. And then for the Hawks, I think it's Jalen Johnson, because there's a reason they traded John Collins, and I think it's because of, we all know the issues, but the reason they traded him for such a small package is because Quinn Snyder really likes Jalen Johnson as a player, and Quinn Snyder, I think, wanted to start him or give him a bigger role, and we'll see this upcoming season what's actually going to happen with him. But I think that's why Jalen Johnson is their most impactful player, because I think he's going to be their new starting four, and if he meshes with the group well, the Hawks could be a lot better than anyone expects. The most impactful player for the Portland Trailblazers is DeAndre Ayton, because DeAndre Ayton was a #1 overall pick because he had a high ceiling. Now, if he reaches that ceiling playing with this young team, especially those 3 guards, woo! Yeah, it could be very scary. The Clippers, it's Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard literally beat the Suns team. The Suns were the only team to take multiple games from the Denver Nuggets last year, and Kawhi Leonard made them look pitiful and goofy in Game 1 at Phoenix. And then Game 2, he almost beat them. They lost by what, 6 points? So yeah, if Kawhi Leonard's healthy, this Clippers team is going to be a contender. So he's their most impactful player. And now for the LA Lakers, before we get to the Bucks. The LA Lakers' most impactful player is AD. AD, when he's good, the Lakers are not going to lose very many games when he's playing up to AD's level. When he's playing down, they're going to struggle to win some games against very, very good teams. So AD really dictates the success of this Lakers team. And then lastly, the Bucks. Yes, they just got Damian Lillard. Love that trade, by the way. Go check out the video of my reaction to it. Jrue Holiday to the 76ers, I hope and pray. But anyways, they got Damian Lillard and Giannis, but neither of them is really going to be the impactful thing. We've seen a lot of good duos in NBA history and not work out and win championships. Chris Middleton is their most impactful player, because if Chris Middleton is the 3rd star that we saw when they won, this team's not going to lose very many games. They got good enough defense. Jay Crowder, Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, Malik Beasley, Pat Connaughton. I don't really like him, but anyways, they got enough defensive players that if Dame and Chris Middleton and Giannis just all average 20 plus points a game, this team's not going to lose. And Chris Middleton is their most impactful player, if you ask me, because of that. But I hope you enjoyed this video of the most impactful players. I think a lot of these players, that they play really, really good this year, their team's going to be very, very good. Obviously, a lot of these players are not going to play up to how we hope and expect. So that's why I'm making this now, because if these players don't play good and the team's bad, I'm not going to be surprised. So let me know what your thoughts. Let me know who you think the most impactful player on your favorite team is. Go check out some other videos of mine. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my gaming channel. And yeah, have a good one. Bye.